went off. Like I did not have an alarm. Probably it was a reminder from my from my calendar.
Oh my goodness.
What a way to start the live show.
Welcome everyone to Catt Chatt, where we are truly the height of professionalism. As we prepare ourselves for takeoff, Monica's Alexa decided to say hello. How do you do?
They decided to make sure that I didn't miss a step today.
I don't think mind, honestly. No, because downstairs in the basement of my house, we also have Alexa. And whenever I say, and I'm going to say this quietly, but Alexa, play such and such, it will play such and such. And I love that. But there are times when I'm like, good night. And then Alexa will come back saying, good night. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Ever loving the Jesus.
Oh goodness.
So that honestly just made me feel unreasonably happy. Hold please. And of course I have to prepare thyself and share that. Okay. One thing that I like commend you on is your advertising, because you were literally advertising the show everywhere. And I genuinely thank you for that. But hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Catt Chatt. My name is Tomcat, and I am joined by award-winning she-proper, founder of Geeks, Gogo, and I'll have all of these links. I'll have all of these links available. Listen to me. All of these things available. So, Paralumen
Cosplay. Yeah.
Cosplay, Geeks,
Gogo.
She-prop. What? You have your hands in so many pies, Monica.
I do. Like seriously, ADHD moment with all of my social media handles. I'm also in Gut Punch RP.
Of course, because of course you are.
Because we stream D&D but with a bunch of females, LGBTQs, and non-binary D&D 5e players every Monday on Twitch. So yeah.
We'll get to
that is long, but yeah. I'm
very long list.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. What are you apologizing for? You have a laundry list of credits, and I'm very, very excited to have you on. Monica and myself, we go. Oh my God Almighty! I am so sorry if everyone keeps on overhearing my Discord going off right now. Something big is obviously happening. And I want to silence it as much as possible. If we continue to hear it, I apologize. This is the height of professionalism, folks. Enjoy it while you can.
This happens every time during a live stream.
But Monica is one of my dear friends. I love and worship her, and you should too. If you've seen her at any convention, you know that she is a spitfire of a human being. She is always all over, running around doing something for someone, including herself.
Yeah.
And I just love and adore you so much. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you. I am so excited for this because I finally get to see Tom after almost a year. It's been a long time, everyone.
It really has been. It's been a very, very, very long time. And I am just so I'm very beside myself that you're here with me today on this program. But yeah. So Monica and myself, we were actually talking about this before we got started. Monica and myself, we had met at C2E2 in 2019. where I was cosplaying as the Wicked Witch of the West, and Monica was cosplaying as, and I cannot for the life of me recall the name of the
And that's absolutely okay because the character that I cosplayed was actually a miniature for technically it's for Warhammer, but we're not gonna say that word. But it was from French company called Raging Heroes, and I absolutely love that character. Like I play Warhammer with my husband when we go to Gen Con or to other gaming like gaming cons.
Yeah.
So when we go, we play, a lot of different tabletop D&D stuff, board games, and one of them's Warhammer. So it was kind of like a character built for that if I wanted to include it to my collection that I use. And I just absolutely love that company because a lot of their miniatures are based out of really strong females of different size, body shape, and age. And you don't see that often in a lot of, especially in like geek media. It's not really a very famous or like common thing to see companies like building something like that.
Well, you looked marvelous.
Thank you.
I feel so what you call it. When I do other shows, my friend Pete that I've had shows with before, he like puts all the pictures up and he's like this and the person does this and the person does that. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that yet. But yeah, your work is magnificent. You have such terrific attention to detail. Your makeup skills are off the chain, off the charts.
Thank you. I tried.
You won. What cosplay contest was it that you won?
I've won quite a bit. There's
please brag. Holy brag.
I've won in Gen Con like several years. I actually stopped competing last year. I mean, for obvious reasons, we got COVID, but only because I decided to, instead of compete last year, I decided to work for a company. And normally I would compete at Crown and C2 for the Crown Championships, but I really wasn't ready. Prior to that, I was working for Cephalofair Games, and they hired me to be a cosplayer at their booth. So I had to make my own cosplay. I had to wear it in their booth, and I had to like bring people into their booth. That was in November, so it was just such a short time for me to prep for anything.
I was gonna say, and it's funny because we can certainly talk about cosplay contests, but the cosplay competitions on the whole are just continuing to get more and more advanced.
Yep.
To the point where I feel like I'm just not going to be able to compete anymore because I can't reach those upper echelons that other seamstresses and SFX people can achieve.
Well, I wouldn't discount that yet. Like I know it's very a lot of people are very intimidated to be in that type of cosplay competition. Like there's so many factors that go into a competition, and you're right. Like every year, people kind of like push it up.
They one up themselves. They try to do better, one up themselves constantly. It's awe inspiring, really.
It is, and it's very overwhelming at times because sometimes you build something and it's got all the bells and whistles, but at the same time, it's like,
I remember
wow.
What was it? Was it 2019 or 2018 when Jessica Negri basically said, I know I was supposed to have this cosplay done by such and such, but it's just not going to happen because it's such a cumbersome type of cosplay. It takes a lot of work and requires a lot of patience.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's happened to you. That's definitely happened to me, except I continue to push on because I hate myself.
I mean, I think all cosplayers hate themselves. I mean, you wouldn't. Just a little masochist, very masochistic. But yeah, it was I feel like it's all worth it in the end Just as an example, you know, like we were talking about what awards I won. I cosplayed the Phoenix monster, which is kind of like my fan favorite, I suppose. A lot of people like know me for that.
Yeah, I think it is much.
Those wings, I actually learned how to make those wings. I had to learn it in 2 months because it was 2 months before the competition. And that whole cosplay I was able to do in 4 months, which is a lot of sleepless nights. So, you know, it's as tough as it may be, like just like creating something not only eye-catching but also like very technical.
Yes.
It will really work in anyone's favor. Like just go for it and see, you know, what you can come up with and just compete. Just you don't really know, you know.
You never know. You never ever know. It's really it's also very fascinating because, you know, I am positive that different types of organizations receive so many applicants. And, you know, the more they go through it, the more they're like, well, this will work, this will work, this will work, this won't work. Like there's such it's such a puzzle that these organizers and these people, because the judges that judge the cosplay competition aren't the same people that choose who gets to compete.
Yep, that's another thing. And I don't think a lot of people know that. Like competition like Crown, they have a committee that actually selects who's going to compete.
Yep.
And you know, like there's a lot. There's just so much that go into that.
There's a lot of steps that go into it. A lot of steps that go into it.
Yep.
And I mean, also, it's one of the reasons why you try to like be all smiles and perky backstage, because if you're a diva, they'll remember you.
Yep. I don't think a lot of people know that as well, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. They take note. How you act around other people, if you're rude, if you're, you know, or if you're nice, you know, they'll remember that. Like they really do take note of that behind the scenes. And honestly, you know, just being behind the stage while everyone's waiting, we're all tired. We have lack of sleep. We're walking around these, like, especially me, like my big costumes, you know. My back hurts, but you know what? You made it that far. You know, it's just like, just be happy to be there, because not everyone has that opportunity.
It's true.
And yeah, just be grateful, you know, just be a little grateful you're there.
I cannot tell you how many times I've seen competitors go on stage and then come off stage and then they're really hype, they're really excited, and then they don't win. And it's just, you see the anger and the frustration, and it's like, keep it packed in, keep that packed in. Do conceal, don't feel, Elsa. Conceal, don't feel.
And you know, it is human nature. Sometimes it is upsetting. So don't get me wrong. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes I do feel that way, but at the end of the day, everybody really worked hard, and you can't put it on like, well, I worked harder, and I'm like, no, but you see, you got to understand too. It's not just about you working hard on that cosplay. You know, like a lot of people who join these are professionals. They do this for a living. They just have a little bit more.
I'm not mistaken. At one point, they said you couldn't be a professional like tailor or seamstress or foam person or prop maker. You couldn't be a professional. You had to be, you know, grassroots almost.
Yep. It changes. Yeah.
To see competitions now encouraging professionals to come on board and start to compete, it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, once competitions start coming back.
Yeah.
But we have there are online competitions. I know Top Customs, along with the Egg Sisters and Down in Studios, they're all
Chris English, from Chicago.
They're all doing the oh god, they're all doing the Ultimate Cosplay Championship or something like that.
Yep, I believe that you nailed it right on the head. I think you nailed it.
you're seeing in real time these professionals basically saying we still want that experience for people. We still want people to have that experience.
Mhm. And I'm glad that they're doing something like that because it just encourages a lot of creativity to come out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I barely did anything like whole year last year. But I really shouldn't say I didn't do anything. I just shifted my focus
Mm-hmm.
on what I was doing. I just didn't have the capacity to create anything last year.
I
So,
mean, I don't think that anybody really had the capacity. The people that did have the capacity to create have been creating for a long, long, long time.
mhm.
Um, and I'm not saying that, I'm not discounting what, because each person is obviously incredibly different.
Yep.
And one person's work ethic in terms of creativity is not the same as another person's work ethic in terms of creativity. But it's definitely been interesting to see other people handle what's been going on globally. And some people are crafting like crazy because it's
Yep.
like you never know what's going to happen next, and people are still creating content. I look at Oh My Sophie.
Yep.
I look at
Mhm.
Oh My Sophie. She is constantly creating.
Yeah,
um
she's another powerhouse right there.
yeah,
She really just keeps going. She's like the Energizer Bunny.
I was going to say she's like the Energizer Bunny. Um, but it really has been fascinating to see this sort of shift, this sort of cultural shift from not cultural shift, but well, actually, yeah, cultural shift because cosplay is a culture.
Yep. Mhm.
But to see this sort of cultural shift where it's like, well, we're slowing down because we don't know when the next convention is going to be, but we still want to create because we want to create content. And
Mhm.
content equals likes, and likes equal money. And that's the mentality that a lot of cosplayers are in. Um, and I'm so disappointed in myself. Did you catch Phil's live that he did on Instagram?
I
Where he
did actually. Yeah.
could you please
I
give?
had.
I feel like I should be asking him.
That's okay, but I like what he talked about that, and I'm so glad that you asked about it because
Yeah,
he did bring up a lot of stuff that's going to be changing for this year in terms of cosplay, and I'm kind of glad that he did mention that. A lot of the things that we did last year, more than likely, we're going to be doing that for a while this year as well. Uh, and that's for everyone's safety. I know
yeah,
there's a lot of people that are so anxious to go back to conventions, so anxious to cosplay and like meet their friends. We had so limited interactions with our friends like all throughout last year. And it's all about keeping each other safe. We as a community need to take care of each other.
yeah,
So he was kind of like bringing up that there's going to be a lot of collabs like what you and I are doing right now, and we're going to be doing something for my website soon too. So look out for that. Um, I've been collaborating with Sheeprop with moderating their Facebook group and doing some graphics for them. So that's another thing. Just a lot of these like collaborative efforts in between cosplayers is such a big thing last year. It's going to continue on this year. Um, there's so many online competitions, as we mentioned earlier, and there's going to be a lot of um, not too many photo shoots, but there's going to be a lot of these like online contests and yeah, just like other avenues of kind of just like, oh hey Tito Midnight, what's up? There's going to be like a lot of these things that we're all going to be doing virtually with each other. So yeah, I'm so glad that he mentioned that. It
it's
is really.
it's honestly important to have these sort of conversations because
Mhm.
it wakes people up a little bit. It basically
Yep.
says, "Hey, we're all going through this. We're all in this together. Is it possible that cosplay?" Of course, the heading is very like eye catching. Like, is cosplay dead? The miniseries,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like cosplay is dead in the sense that costume play is gone forever because costume play will always be there.
Yep. Hmm.
It's just as of right now, conventions are slowing down. The avid cosplayer like me or you or or Thrawn Duart or Pepper Marvel or a Pepper Monster or the Down in Studio. I was going to say the Down in Sisters.
Egg sisters
Down in Studio, the Egg Sisters.
The best of both worlds.
Exactly. Even still, like you see all of these people who are just continuing to try and create.
Yep.
The avid cosplayer is going to continue to create content, whereas the people that only sort of go to conventions and like they'll not that I'm there's oh Jesus Christ Almighty, just spit it out, Tom. It's the same thing with the homemade cosplays versus the store-bought cosplays. It's always going to be two sides. You're always going to have the people who are like, well, I enjoy going to conventions, but I wouldn't say that I'm an avid cosplayer or an avid con goer. And then there's, you know, people like us who are like, I usually average about 6 to 7 conventions like a year, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah.
But I'm always at a show cosplaying. I'm always at a show putting myself out there and creating content.
Because that's our brand.
Exactly. That is our brand. Our brand is content creation.
Yep.
Jennifer says there's so much encouragement coming from Monica, Aaron, Papa. I love Papa Bear.
Yeah, Papa Bear.
Oh, I want to have a long conversation with him.
Yeah, he is amazing. Like he if I ever become a parent one day, I hope to become him. Like he's not only Papa Bear as kind of like the father of cosplay around here in Chicago, like our dad, our cosplay dad. He's also like a really, really good dad to his little girls. Like he cosplays with them, and I admire that a lot. That really says a lot about a person's character. So yeah.
Jennifer, speaking of encouragement and being a good human being, Jennifer brings up an interesting point that we should try to bring up encouraging fellow cosplayers, creators, and gamers. And that's so important right now. It is so important to constantly try to uplift people that you know are struggling.
Yep.
Especially people that you have a great deal of esteem for. Like I'm a whatchamacallit. Whenever I see oh God, why can I can't think straight tonight. Why can I ever think straight?
Because it's only Tuesday.
It's good. It's only Tuesday. But just try and pay attention to the people around you that you know you surround yourselves with.
Yeah.
And just try to like see what they're doing, see what they're going through. Don't monitor them, but ask them how they're doing. Ask them what they've been working on. Try to say, "Oh my God, that pick is amazing. You should. What else are you working on? What else? Here's something else that may interest you." Like, just try to keep morale up.
Yep.
Keep morale, because nobody else is really going to keep morale up except for each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very important thing that people don't really realize, like just the simple like checking up on other people, like having like a, you know, like just a random day, just check up on people really makes a difference. Like I try to do that as much as I can. I mean, we're all busy, but you know, like a couple of minutes, you can do it.
On the East Coast, I have fashioned the Con Mom moniker for myself. Because that's what I used to do. I mean, I still do, but I mean, I haven't really. I do check up on people. I do make sure that everyone's doing well, but I sort of have taken a back seat to that because my own mental health has been like,
yeah,
for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But it's still very important to have conversations with people. It's still very important to touch base with someone that you haven't touched base with in a while. Talk to someone that you haven't spoken to in a while. Make sure they're doing okay. Even if you've went to a convention once or twice, even if you've roomed together once or twice, just say, hey, how are you? Have a conversation. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Right. Happy New Year.
It's just, it's so fascinating how when this community's good, it's good. But when it's bad, man, holy shit.
Oh yeah. There's there's quite a bit that happened last year that could have been avoided but it all really boils down to and I know a few people might be offended by this, like just don't go out if you're not supposed to. I mean,
that's the long and the short of it. Like
yeah,
when COVID first hit and all the conventions started shutting down slowly, there were a lot of people that were just like, all right, we get it, we understand, let's stay home and do the thing. And then there were some conventions that popped up here and there, and there are some bars that popped up here and there and didn't close down. And it's like, are you there's a pandemic going on. Why are you
yeah.
being silly? Stop
I
being
mean, yeah, it's been going on right now, and it's
we
hard.
can talk for hours on end about the Port of Vallarta Circuit Queens.
Yeah, it's I know there's a few bars that stayed open to just have performers in, but I don't know how they regulate.
I don't know how
Like
they
who comes in, if they're wearing masks, because it doesn't look like it. It's a very dangerous time, and in the beginning,
you're taking the lives of not only your patrons, but you're taking the lives of your
performers,
your performers.
Yeah.
And it really is a difficult time to be a performer. I get that. Broadway still hasn't opened up. I'm sure the West End hasn't had a performance in a very long time.
Wow.
It's been a challenge, and my hope is that by the end of the year there will be some type of compromise.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some type of compromise to allow these events to continue to happen. But until people like get on board and start having the conversations, like we got to be careful, we have to like until the conversations start happening, no one's really going to do much of anything.
Yep.
Which I hope that this sort of inspires people to have the conversations.
Yeah.
But it's so fascinating to see, and I really do want your honest opinion. Do you think that by the end of this year we'll start to see our first conventions, like where people can walk the floor? I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours.
Okay, I think because of what just happened with the whole vaccine situation, and there's still a lot of reluctance from people to take it.
Mm-hmm.
It is very risky to even have any sort of convention this year. It's people are just not. I mean, if they're not careful last year, they're not going to be careful this year. If they didn't care last year, they're not going to care this year. I mean, they don't. Just some people, unfortunately, just don't care. And until we're all on the same page, which I was really hoping at some point towards the end of the year, especially when the cases spiked up more than it did in March when this all started, I was hoping people would take it seriously. And I understand that a lot of people are kind of like anxious and like, when's the next convention? I am a big believer of local conventions, not in-person local conventions. A lot of them are doing their stuff virtually. Let's show our support for them because they have planned like these small conventions. It may seem like, oh, they're just a small convention. It takes a year or more just to plan a small convention in a small town.
I'm glad you brought up local conventions because I feel like we're seeing the decline of the big super convention and the rise of more local fare.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited to see that because local conventions they can have local cosplayers, they can have local talent. Yes, can a local convention have an out of town big name cosplayer? Of course they can, and they very well might.
Yeah,
but you never know until you start to see what that convention can do.
Yep. And I like it because most of the time, while here in Illinois, there's so many in Illinois and Indiana, and even in Wisconsin too. Like, it's close enough of a drive for us to go to. Like, we drive up to 4 hours to each convention, like either state, like all 3 states, and we feel at home because most of the time, like these small conventions are very laid back. They're very, very homey. There's something about it. It just feels so homey. And if everyone's like really anxious to be in a convention, these small conventions or local conventions need our support. So you need to attend their virtual conventions. And quite frankly, they're most of the time they're free. It's free to attend them virtually. Like they will have their vendors there because these vendors have already put that time aside for them to be in that small convention. Show your support that way. So when everything opens back up, they're still gonna be around. I know like there was this big convention last year who was asking for donations because of like when COVID hit, they spent all this money on putting the show.
Losing a lot of money. They started losing revenue. And that's what I feel a lot of. So, of course, the rumor mill. The rumor mill was milling. Saying that C2E2, Emerald City Comic Con, and New York Comic Con were all going to be happening around the same time at the end of this year. And I'm like, that's absurd, but these big conventions owned by ReedPop need to make up their revenue.
Yep.
And they're only going to be able to make up their revenue by ticket sales.
Yep.
So what are they going to do? They're going to try and jam pack as many conventions in a weekend as they possibly can. And it's just, I know it's ridiculous. I know it's absurd, but it's not that far-fetched. And that's the scary part.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. They need to like recoup like everything that they have spent for last year. I mean, like even like just to broaden kind of like the perspective, they've booked their convention space and all of this talent. They're not going to get 100% of that money back.
Absolutely not.
Because there's retainer fees and like deposits that they need to basically just not get a refund of, and it has hurt a lot of people. A lot of companies.
There is a very strong possibility. I don't see it happening, but it is a possibility that the bigger conventions that said, "Oh, you can use this. This is a retainer. You bought the ticket for last year, and we had to cancel the show, so it's a refund for next year." If there's no show this year, there's a possibility they might not be able to. They might not be able to give that refund back.
And I
totally hold on to that money. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lot more money that way.
Yep. And that's kind of like, I don't think people thought far ahead about that. But if it cancels twice, I mean, I bought concert tickets to a few bands that I really want to see this year. I'm not even expecting them to show up in June and in the summertime, even if it's warm out, because that's just kind of like what you have to deal with, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a huge challenge for next year to really see.
It's very much a huge challenge.
Yeah, we've been having like conversations out here with like HDC Fabrication. They go to a lot of shows. I was talking to Diana, which is Tim's girlfriend, and we were talking, and what are you guys planning for this year? And I'm like, we really don't know. It is so up in the air right now until every single person.
One of the things that I've been saying to a lot of people is no one knows what you're going to be doing in another 24 minutes. No one knows what you're doing in another 24 hours. So how can you in all good conscience say, oh, we're going to have a convention by the end of this year? Oh, we're going to have something happen by the end of this year. You can't predict that. You can't predict that. I mean, we can all speculate. We can all say the incoming president will have a mandate for a vaccine, so everyone has to get a vaccine. And if everybody gets a vaccine, then we can worry about. But even then, there's steps that need to be taken that people are just like, nope, we're going to have a convention by the end of this year. Mark my words, we will have a convention by the end. of this year.
There's a timeline. It takes time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience.
And resources too. Like a lot of our resources have been pretty much like there's not a lot of resources. I don't think people kind of like get that part as well. Like oh yeah, I was just reading the yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to tell. So let me ask you this, Tom. Like, let's say October rolls around and vaccines are common, like for the majority.
Yeah.
Would you go to a convention then?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm just so on the fence by it. Like I most likely wouldn't.
I have had that same conversation with a lot of other people, and it's all it takes is one person.
Exactly.
All it takes is one person, unless what the convention does is have a little box that says I have received the COVID-19 vaccine. I am ready to go. I am okay. Unless they have something like that and can confirm it, it's
that
too
was
hard.
another question. Like, how are they gonna know? How are they gonna know? Like, I think a lot of people, I think they're trying to develop this this QR code on your phone. Mm-hmm. So when you go to places, they'll scan it and see the validity. But you know, there's some people who are really tricky. You know,
and it say in hypothetically speaking, a person says, yes, I've received the COVID-19 vaccine. They're going out, they're having fun, they're doing the thing. They end up contracting COVID a week before the convention. Mm-hmm. What are they gonna? They're gonna go. Of course, they're gonna go.
Yeah, because some people they just well, I paid for the ticket, you know, or I paid for the hotel room.
Exactly. If like there is money spent, you're going to go and you're going to enjoy. Mm-hmm. It's just you're putting yourself and you're putting a bunch of other people at risk.
Yep.
Especially if you're a cosplayer, because if I know cosplayers, there's only maybe a handful that I can think of that will design masks to match their outfits.
Yep, I would do it though.
Like, hell yeah,
every single cosplay will have.
Absolutely, I was even thinking like, I have masks for this very occasion, so might as well just enjoy it. But even so, you're still going to get cosplayers who are like, I don't have to wear a mask. I'm fine. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
There's just a lot. It's on just too high a risk. Mm-hmm. Way too high a risk. Maybe, and it's sad. It's genuinely sad. But that's not going to stop you or I from continuing to create content for the people for ourselves, number one, mm-hmm. and number two, for our friends, fans, and followers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see us stop. That's my whole thing. I don't want to see people stop being creative, because if there's one thing that 2020 did, it slowed a lot of people's creativity down.
Yep.
Because everything was just so, into the unknown. Everyone was just like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so I'm just not going to create anything. And people didn't, and they just stagnated. And then like summer came, and it's like, all right, maybe we're fine. We could like start to create some things. We could start to do a little bit more. And then by the winter, it was just like, but
yeah, it's back to that.
It's just been so fascinating to see. Mm-hmm. But we can obviously have a conversation about this for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Tell me about Geeks a Gogo.
Oh, sure, most definitely. So I created a website about 5 years, actually almost 6 years now. In May, I've created a website because I want to give voices to how different people geek out. So it's a website that is a part blog, and we help promote a lot of indie and local companies and artists in our area. And my plan for that website is to have geek conversations. Like, we geek about different things. Like you geek about cosplay, so do I, but I also geek about RPGs and board games, like all this different stuff. So just having like your own perspective about how you geek out is what I love about the website. And of course, you'll see a lot of content from me and my husband and some of our contributors in there as well. we talk about all the stuff that we love, like playing, reading, watching, and whatnot. I absolutely love it. I'm so happy that I have that avenue to like show my creativity, because I've always, so let me tell you this, ever since I was a kid, I have been just such a frustrated artist. Like I wanted to be an artist growing up,
Mm-hmm.
or a fashion designer, just something creative. And I wind up being an accountant. So so this is such a good kind of like re- artistic release for
Mm-hmm.
me, because I'm constantly in the office 9 to 5, and then I do my creative stuff at night. And I saw that as such a great balance for me. Like I feel whole, like in my life. Like I feel like I'm living my best life, because I have both worlds, and I know what it is to be a professional in both worlds as well. So
Yeah.
it's been a really great ride.
Good. I'm very excited. Now, you developed that, what, 3 years ago?
Yep. I think so. Like, oh man. Time is so fleeting. 3 4 years. I mean, I I didn't even know what day it was like last week. Like it was so hard to know what day it was.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, that's magical. I'm very proud
thank
of
you.
you.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you were able to sort of focus your artistic side into this endeavor. And it's beared very good fruit for you. You've been invited to conventions, you've been a
Yep.
guest at conventions. So not only are you a competitor, you're also a reporter. You write your own blog, you have other people write blogs as well. It's fabulous. It's absolutely
Yep.
fascinating.
Yep. I've judged cosplay contests as well, because of, like the stuff that I do.
Of course.
And it's been just amazing, like being to um not just talk about my experiences, but actually have a conversation with people like you in conventions, and all our other friends. We learn a lot from each other, and we help each other out. And I really miss that aspect of being in a convention.
You
I
miss
miss
the
the
camaraderie. You
conversations.
you
Yeah,
miss you miss the community of the cosplay
yeah.
community.
I mean, it's not often that we see you around town, because you're not from town. But the funny thing is, even when conventions were around, we don't really see our friends unless there's a convention. So it was, yeah, it just kind of like made that weird dynamic, because we did it for 5 whole years, just nonstop convention after convention. And
Yep.
then last year happened. It was like, whoa, this is weird.
And so little sad story. Not sad,
Oh.
not sad as in like something bad happened, but sad as in it was just like really, really, really unfortunate. So there was supposed to be a convention, I think, called UBCon
Mhm.
up in Buffalo, New York, and Pepper Monster is around that area, and that is one of her favorite cons. She loves going to it, so on and so forth. Phil was going to be a guest to UBCon, and they were going to try and get me to also be a guest for UBCon, and either a guest or a ticket or something, just so that I was able to get in with them. And then COVID happened, and this was in March. This is in March. I think it was supposed to be the tail end of March, and I'm like, oh, I should buy my ticket soon. Now this was back in February. I'm like, I should buy my ticket soon. I should really get ready for it. It was either in March or April. I know.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Um, and we were going to go. It was going to be a great time. We were going to cosplay as the Sanderson sisters again. Just have a fun hell of a
That
time.
was a really fun group cosplay, by the way. I
Oh,
absolutely love it.
I love it. You have no idea how cool cosplay. I mean, I could wear Winifred Sanderson tomorrow and be happy.
It's so
Um,
good.
but unfortunately, the convention canceled because of COVID, and it was really one of those things where I'm like, it's been so long since I've seen my sisters, and like I usually see them 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 times out of the year. But because of COVID, the last time I saw everyone together was C2E2. And it sort of like took me out of everything. And I'm like, ah, damn.
Mhm.
And I think that is a thing that a lot of people felt. That
Yep.
is what a lot of people felt that.
Kind of like a defeat, like you feel defeated.
Yeah.
Like,
You
and
feel upset.
yeah.
You want to like scream at somebody, but you can't.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now that we've covered Geeks a Go-Go, tell me about Sheeprop.
Sheeprop. Oh, okay. So I am really excited to talk about Sheeprop because
Please.
there's so many things, so many things about.
I became a member. When did I become a member? I think
Just
around its conception, like just after it started to like become a big thing. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And then I noticed that Sheeprop was becoming more and more inclusive to queer identifying people,
yep.
and just it's been wonderful. So please, I don't want to say any more.
It's okay. So Sheeprop was founded by Beverly Downen, who we all know from Downen Creative Studios or Downen Photography, you know, for her husband's photography work.
Yes.
Another amazing human being, cosplayer. She is also one of our frontliners out there, so I'm so proud of her. Like, she works in the hospital, so kudos to her for doing all this and cosplaying and then working. So yeah, she's a saint. So she formed Sheeprop, and her goal is to be a safe haven of and have this inclusive group of women and LGBTQ and non-binary to come together in a group and learn something from each other. Now we know, and this is not a secret, like we know that sometimes there is drama in cosplay. I mean, we can't really, you know, is there drama?
Drama in
what?
The community?
Like what? What?
Oh my god.
But you know, like it's kind of like we want to call that group our drama-free zone, where we just want it to be a place of learning, a place of like you can vent there, you can share your experiences there, but know that you have a community at your side, like kind of like holding your hand, especially if you're like a beginner cosplayer, you know. I love that group so much because I was in a pickle with a few of my cosplays for last year, and people are so helpful in that group. Like they will really answer a lot of your questions. And, you know, just to go without saying, you know, if you have benefited from the group, it's really encouraged that you would also contribute in some sort of way. Like if you have a small tutorial on, let's say, like sewing or armor making, if you have like simple tips and tricks that you want to share to the group, yeah, that's what we're all there for. We're all there to learn. But yeah, I love it.
Well, that's magnificent. You know, I'm always inspired by the posts that I see. I know a lot of local cosplayers, a lot of local women cosplayers are on Sheeprop.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I had asked Beverly to be on the show on the 19th. But something came up and she ended up having to cancel. But I would love to just have a conversation with her about what it is that she loves about Sheeprop, what made her want to create it. Just because the one beautiful thing I love about cosplay is that it really is very inclusive.
Yep.
You're obviously going to have your people that are like, well, it needs to be handmade. Well, you need to use this product or you need to use that product. You're going to have and I hate using the word, but you're going to have your elitists.
Yep. The nitpickers.
That's in any community. You're always going to have your nitpickers. But it's important to have a community of people that you can turn to for support, that you can turn to for creative advice. As a matter of fact, last night, and the reason I bring this up is because, again, support, conversation, advice, all that fun stuff. I had asked my Facebook friends, what type of make, because I want to use a full coverage powder foundation, and as you ask a bunch of drag queens and cosplayers about makeup, you're going to get a bunch of drag queens and cosplayers to advise you. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, I want more of this.
Yeah.
I want more support. I want more conversations.
Yep.
It's so important for morale. And we live in such a very interesting time where happiness and positivity is in short supply.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you try to do things that like uplift people. You try to do things that make people feel good. That was one of the reasons why I started Catt Chatt in the first place, was because I wanted to have fun conversations with fun people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I have been enjoying this conversation so very much, and I'm so I'm just so thankful that you're here. You will be back. I promise you will be back.
Thank you.
What else can you? So we all have our specific. I've never asked this question to another cosplayer, and I'm fascinated.
Oh no.
What is your creative process? How do you choose the characters you cosplay?
Oh, I love this question so much. I have to really, 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 really like this character. Yeah. And I need to have some way of learning a new skill when I make it. So even my simple cosplays, like I try to make sure I learn a new technique when I make them. For me, I feel like my cosplay is not just something to wear on conventions. It's I enjoy it so much because it kind of shows a lot about myself as a character. I put something on and I'm immediately in character. I go really hard with all of my builds. I think you already know that. So when so when I see something and I really, really like it, I spend months, even before I start building it, I spend months just gathering all the fabric types, colors, and paints, and everything that goes towards it. Now I got to share this because I know you guys haven't been seeing me making anything this year. I've actually gone back to drawing stuff. I used to draw a lot when I was younger, and I love drawing and painting.
So I can share screen if you want me to pull that up.
I'm not ready.
Are you not ready? Okay, we won't worry about it. Don't worry about it then.
I will. I can show you later. But I do have a few ideas, and I really wanted to go back to it because I have so much creative inspiration for some mashups and characters that I've always wanted to do, but have been afraid to make them because I don't know what people would think. There's always that thing like, oh, do people get this? Or are they going to think it's cool? Or maybe it's not that cool, So I've drawn a few mashup characters or like designs of my own, interpreting that. So yeah, it's been a very productive year for me to come up with original characters and twist.
I was going to say, are you a promoter of original characters?
I do love promoting original characters because I mean, you can kind of tell by now I'm not really into like the whole cookie cutter type of like thing.
I'm very much the same. Like whenever I cosplay a character, I'm like, do I want to if I want to do a screen accurate cosplay, I know I can do it, but I'll still do my own interpretation with it.
Because the thing that people forget is even if it's not screen accurate, you put your soul into that. You put your soul into that creation. So you will see your own twist on things. Like, when you dawn on like the Sanderson sisters, you're in character, but you're also bringing a little bit of your soul into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting. Every time like someone like just does their own like twist to whatever character it is. Um,
So would you? I'm curious because again, I've never really asked this question to a cosplayer before because I've never had the opportunity to. Um, Part of cosplaying is the art of theater and the art of acting. Do you have a background in acting? Do you have, or do you just enjoy being the character that you're cosplaying as?
I do not have a background in acting. I am a horrible actress. I used to. It's so bad. Like don't even. I think I've gotten a little bit better since then.
Mhm.
Like playing my D&D character on Monday nights, like it helped me like come out of my shell. But I will tell you, when I was younger, I did sing a lot. I am a
Okay.
professionally trained singer back home in the
Know
Philippines.
that.
So yeah, I got a little bit of that. I haven't like gone back to singing in
Where
such
where in
a
the
long.
Philippines do you hail from?
Okay, so this is kind of a all over the place thing. So I grew up 3 hours south of um the capital, which is Manila.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours south of that is this region called Batangas,
Okay.
and it's a really nice town. They have like a volcano within the lake, and then it has like a water moat inside. That's what it's known for. Um, the volcano actually erupted last year or the year before. It's crazy, but anyhow, like I grew up for the most part in the main island, which is the big northern part,
Mm-hmm.
and I spent a lot of time during our breaks in school to where my mom grew up, so in Cebu. So I know how to speak two of our languages back home.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's great. I really miss it a lot. Like if you ever get a chance to travel to Asia, make sure you stop by there. Like if not for oh wow, really? Nian is from Lucena. Like I am from Bawan or San Pascual, if you know where that is in Batangas. I went to I went to St. Bridget's. If you know where. Let me tell you, Tom, it is, it was either Catholic school or public school, and that was mostly the choices back home. So they probably know what I'm
I
talking
mean,
about.
it's not that much different from New York.
Yeah.
The
Is it
Catholic school or public school. Catholic school, public school. They called it private school, but we knew
private
better. They called it private school, but we knew better.
school? Wow, that's
I never knew that you were a professionally trained singer. I never knew that. Is it opera or is it I'm trying to think what style of music
oh my
do
gosh. Like I did a lot of musicals when I was a
okay, Broadway
so
standards?
yeah, like Broadway type of stuff. But
I'm not gonna put you on the spot to sing. I promise
it's
I'm
been
not
so long you would not want to hear it. I tried. It was the highlight of my youth, and then I started doing a lot of sports.
Mhm.
So I love doing a lot of sports. So the whole like singing was in the back burner after that. So
So now I know why you love judging the masquerade so much.
yeah,
Because you enjoy watching the performative, you enjoy seeing the craft, so you enjoy both aspects of it.
yep. Hmm.
Um, I am curious. So the other day I was researching, and we only have a couple of minutes left, so I'll try and make this quick. I was researching just idle nonsense. My girlfriend Connie tagged me in the promo video for C2E2. So I'm like, wow, I haven't like let me just do some research. So I looked up C2E2 and I found the masquerade. Not the masquerade video, which I still want, damn it.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
I need to like content, but I want video of that. I want video of
You,
that entire
yeah, you all deserve to have that video because you
um
all did such an amazing job. It was hard.
so one of the things that I wanted to ask was after the convention, were you guys approached to bring it back the next year?
That will be, I can't speak
You can't.
for, yeah,
Okay.
I can't speak for them,
That's fine.
but we did let them know that it was on
It
demand.
was a hit. It was a hit.
It was a big hit. You know, like the contestants were just absolutely like for how short of a time period it was announced, you all just blew our minds. Like it was so hard to judge. So we did, I like, at least like right after C2E2, I really did try to make it a point to relate to everyone who received any sort of like survey from C2E2 to mention the masquerade, because I feel like it's a little bit more relaxed and inclusive.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Very
and
much.
it everyone just had a blast. Like it was too bad not a lot of people saw it because it was on a Sunday. But
But even for a Sunday, it was still pretty packed.
yeah. And there were talks that they might do it on a Friday. I don't know if that's even gonna, you know, it's up in the air.
There's a
right
lot that plays the scheduling for conventions. That's a whole another hour-long conversation that the two of us can have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have reached time. I'm going to put up all of your information again, just so that people know, where can they find you, my love.
Okay, you can mainly find me on social media at Geeks a Gogo on all platforms. You can also find me at Sheprop, Gut Punch RP, which is our Monday night weekly streaming of our D&D 5th edition campaign. You can find me at Monica Paprocki on Facebook, or Paralumen Cosplay as well, if you just want the cosplay bit of my work.
And if you want to follow me and this show, you can at that Tomcat on Facebook. I also upload the videos afterwards to YouTube at www.youtube.com/Tomcat. You can follow me on social media at that Tomcat, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, everything, that Tomcat. But Monica, I want to thank you so much for being on my show tonight. I am very, very thankful and grateful for you and your friendship. I adore you. I adore your husband, and I cannot wait to hug you again in person.
Yes. Oh my God. It's been too long. Thank you for having me. And we hope that, you know, we see you sometime soon, hopefully.
Soon indeed.
I want to feed you when you come visit again. So
please, thank you. Please,
it's time.
Thank you.
It's time.
Thank you. But chow me out for now, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.